In your world, people are used to fighting for resources like oil or minerals or land. But when you have access to the vastness of space, you realize there's only one resource worth fighting for: more time. Time is the single most precious commodity in the universe. This wisdom was delivered by Khalik Abrasax. If you don't know who she is, then you have not seen the movie Jupiter Rising. She is a 14,000-year-old elite from Jupiter, and she shared this within the context of the movie, but it is very valuable to our real lives. What are we struggling for on the earth? What are we reaching for? What is our topmost priority? That's what we're going to talk about today as we talk about the most precious commodity in the universe. I'll see you after the break. Right, my name is Kenneth Igiri, and over the next few days, I'm going to be celebrating my birthday with amazing friends who are doing amazing things in the NGO sector. Today, we're going to be interviewing Beem and Enifome Obini. And if I have not pronounced their names correctly, they will do so in a few minutes. Okay? Before I call them up to talk about what they are doing, I'm going to share a few things with you from these slides. I earlier quoted Khalik Abrasax on time. And if you didn't see that, you probably want to step back to it a bit and see what I said. $1 million is not sufficient. It will never be sufficient. The reason is that if I give you $1 million, with enough time, with enough mistakes, you will lose all of it. But if I gave you 1 million years, with that amount of time, you could make any amount of money you want. So that buttresses the fact that time is the most precious commodity in the universe. And birthdays are a great time to reflect on time. They're a great time to reflect on time. The psalmist said, "Teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom." When we think about how old we are and how much we have done, mistakes we've made, there are many things we wish we could recover. There are many things we wish we could change. But you see, time is designed as irreversible. The older we get, the more recent a distant past appears. Childhood was just like yesterday. But the question is, what are we going to do with the time we have left? We have little time left, and we have to ask, what are we going to be doing with it? And some of our friends in this broadcast, will be answering that crucial question. What are we doing with our time? You know, recently there was this craze around the rapture and the end of the world. And everybody was contemplating what the so-called prophet meant. A few years ago, I had settled in my heart that I was not going to worry too much about when the world would end, because my business is to keep doing what I'm assigned to do until it ends, whether it ends with my end or ends with everybody's end. And I want you to look at this slide. If I really knew when the world would end, what would I stop doing today? what would be the most important thing to do? What would be my greatest priority? And I want you to think about that as you think about time. In our world, the Strategy Club, we think about time using something called the FIRA cycle. Stay focused on something that is critical as part of your assignment on the earth. Immerse yourself in it. Repeat the cycle over and over. Accumulate value in that area until you can begin to capture value back. Some people call it 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell, the magic number of greatness. So the question is, what are you accumulating with time? The guests I have today have established a focus with their lives. They have established something they're going to spend their time doing, their lives doing. Whether or not they become famous or rich or whatever it is everybody else is pursuing with their time. I met Prosper Fechi through the International Central Gospel Church. He caught my attention because he was resilient in his focus on young people. He leads the Foundation for Generational Thinkers. I also met Heather Beem in the same environment. And I was struck by the fact that she left the US as a PhD from MIT to come to Ghana to do something that she believes will make significant impact. And I want you to tell me in the chat, thank you, Nuruddin, for that. Time is the unit of life. I want you to tell me in the chat, what kind of angel needs to appear to you for you to leave the US as a PhD from MIT and come to Ghana? What should be the dimensions of that angel? Because I've already assumed that an angel has to appear to you. So what should be the dimensions? How high, how muscular, how scary? Just type it in the chat to convince you to move from a PhD from MIT to Ghana to come and suffer light off with us, to come and suffer bad roads with us, Kaswa to Accra, to come and suffer what else, and so forth. So tell me the kind of angel you need to appear to you if you were in her position. And we're going to be talking to her today about that story. Yetunde Macaulay is another, she calls herself a development enthusiast, and she has led My Dream Connect for 10 years so far. She runs her side business too to make money, but that's basically all she does. I met her for the first time when I went for the Africa SME Assembly in Lagos. Enifome, who you see seated here, she and I go way back to a club we used to call Marital Bliss. It was launched by a powerful man called Adeolu Ugunubi, Papa D. It was a BlackBerry group. That tells you how long it was. If you had a BlackBerry when it was there, please tell me your version. Tell me the version you had when it was available. So that's how long it was. But she moved through life and she captured her purpose through a period of pain. And we're going to be talking about that today as well. She has now transformed her purpose, her pain into purpose, and she's very passionate about it. Nuruddin, definitely not the least. I got to know her through one of the employers that had the greatest influence on my life, eProcess International. He is a middleware expert, but he also runs Theresa Naomi Foundation, which is in memory of his mothers or his grandmothers, and he's going to be telling us about that tomorrow as well. So I've spoken about these 5 people because I want you to know how much I've known them, how long I've known them, and the fact that they are doing something amazing. I'm dedicating these 5 days to make sure they are not alone in doing what they are doing with their lives at this stage of their lives. So I want you to join me wherever you are. If you're already on the call, share this with someone, tag someone. We're going to push support to these 5 amazing individuals through following them, through supporting them financially, through engaging with them to forge partnerships. And we're going to learn more about them today. So let me bring to the stage the Beem and Enifome Obini. So Heather, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself in case I missed the pronunciation. Please go ahead.
No, the pronunciation was perfect. Thank you so much, Ken, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Beem, and I'm happy to join you. Thank you for inviting me as part of your creative birthday celebration, showcasing entrepreneurs on your platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enifome's photo seems stuck for now, so we're going to delve into asking you a few questions about your journey. And if you're in the chat, please let us know where you're joining from. Kelvin is joining from Accra. And feel free to ask a question, send a wish, say something, share this with someone, and let everyone who is speaking on this show today and beyond feel that they are speaking to you. So Enifome is back. So I'm going to also ask her to introduce herself. Please, you have the mic.
Hello. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Heather. Uh, I'm happy to be here, and I really want to appreciate you for doing this. And happy birthday to you in advance. Or is it? we can celebrate another party, but this is the party, and this is the best way to give and to celebrate. So I really celebrate you, and I honor you for doing this. My name is Enifome Obini, streaming all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. I am known as the Live Again coach. I'm the founder of the Live Again Foundation and the Live Again Enterprise. Basically, I am committed to helping people build better lives because I recognize that a lot of people are not living. A lot of people have just mastered the art of existing and hiding behind all sorts status, property, things, people, places, but a part of them is just stuck there. And that's a strong reason why I do what I do. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'll switch back to Heather. Earlier, I said that I am looking for those who will tell me the nature of the angel that will appear to them if they were in Heather's position. Doreen, great to see you. Thank you for joining. And I saw Prince earlier. I was with Prince at eProcess. He's an amazing guy. Doreen's an amazing person too. Please connect with her on LinkedIn. And of course, we recognized Nuruddin earlier. He's going to be here tomorrow to share his story. I see Kevin Ajay. Appreciate you. And I'm asking all of you in the chat, Heather is going to tell a story, and I want you to describe the angel that you need to appear to you to make that kind of move. So Heather, please tell us about your childhood. Tell us about your academic achievements. And I saw that museum. You also tell us about the museum where you have your, in fact, I wasn't trying to decipher what it was. There was this device, that you had made from your PhD. So tell us about that background, where you're coming from, for the audience to know who we're talking to. Go ahead.
Sure. And I think maybe people didn't tell me about how bad the roads were before I moved here. So maybe I didn't get the full marketing pitch properly. No, just kidding. Yeah, happy to share a bit about my story. So I grew up in the US in a state called Oklahoma. And pretty much from a young age, I've found myself interested in the STEM subjects, in math and physics. I like those sorts of things. And I decided to study mechanical engineering in university. And by God's grace, I was able to go to MIT for graduate school to continue studying mechanical engineering there. And I loved it. It's an environment where if you're interested in technology, it's an exciting place to be, because anything you can think of, somebody's working on it there. Innovation, technology, anything you can think of, there's a corner of a lab somewhere where people are trying to pursue that. So it was an exciting place to be. About 2 years into my program, the PhD program, I had to take what they call a qualifying exam, which is a kind of a strange concept. They've already admitted you to the program, but then they say you still have to pass an exam to qualify to continue on. So I took that exam, and there was an oral component. You have to stand at the board in front of all these senior professors, and they ask you questions. You have to respond in real time. And it went very poorly. I failed. When I took this exam, I failed. Like, there was no question. I knew I did not pass this thing. And so at that point, it became a sort of crisis moment for me, because up until that point, I had done pretty well in school. I wasn't necessarily always the top of the class, but I generally succeeded in the things I had applied myself towards. And so I found myself, thankfully, I was in a Christian community, and they really helped me to channel that questioning to a place of prayer. And so I found myself praying and asking God for his guidance and his direction. What did it mean? Does it mean that I should quit and do something else, or what does this all mean? And I found myself feeling a very clear message that God spoke to me in that season, which was that I shouldn't give up. I should try again. They do give you a second chance, but I should take it as a wake-up call that if I make it through, I shouldn't just live my life for myself. I should see the things I've been fortunate to get to be exposed to as a gift that I have available to do something meaningful with, that's more external facing. Up until that point, most of my life had just been about myself, building up my CV, doing things that I found fun and interesting. So I took that seriously. I studied again for the exam. The second time, by God's grace, I made it through. And then from that point on, I literally was walking up and down the hallways, looking at all the posters on the walls to see what kind of opportunities are there. What are the programs and events and things I can start to try out and get involved in. And through a series of going to different things, I realized that what would be really interesting to me is to do something in the area of education. Although I was studying mechanical engineering, I found myself thinking, in my free time about, like, what is it that enables, like, students at MIT, for example, to feel like we can do anything, like we can solve all the problems in the world. What is it that is that secret sauce that gives us that outcome? And so I found that I found it compelling, or at least a curiosity for me to try and think about how I could use whatever I had experienced to benefit education for students in other parts of the world. And what was most captivating to me from my education was the hands-on aspect of it. We're getting to build things, prototype things, test out our ideas, not just all stay in our head, but actually try things out. And so myself and some other students at the time thought it would be most compelling if we could see how to enable hands-on education to be realized in a place where it seems quite hard to do that. Let's say a school that has no lab. Can we still make the students there get to access hands-on education? And through a series of reaching out to schools in different parts of the world, I was able to connect with a school in Ghana, in Takoradi specifically, and then made my first trip there several years ago, and got to spend just a few days with some high school students there. And I realized from that short time how powerful hands-on education could be in this context, where students are going so many years just sitting in school, memorizing, taking notes. All their potential to be problem solvers is just kind of wasting away. And so I realized that there was a big possibility and a big opportunity to make an impact through the use of hands-on education. And I started to see that this was something that could have an impact at scale across Ghana, even across Africa. And so fast forward, I felt God was calling me after I graduated to move here and to pursue this effort fully. And so in 2016, I moved to Accra, and established an NGO that we call PEN, Practical Education Network. And we are promoting hands-on education. The goal is to have every classroom across the entirety of Africa be a place where when students are learning science and math, they're learning in a practical way. They're doing experiments, they're doing activities, they're building projects. And we're making steady strides towards that by God's grace. And I'm happy to talk more details about what we're doing as we proceed.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So from the challenge with an exam to passing the exam to stepping into MIT, embracing the challenge and graduating, then God appeared. I want you to take note, audience. An angel couldn't convince Heather to come to Ghana. God had to do it himself. All right. No. Okay, so that was by the way, but the point is this is coming from a place of very deep conviction. And I know somebody out there might be praying, God, come and send me to the US. But most of the time, God will send you where there's a need. And Heather saw the need that what she took for granted in her school, a lot of people did not have it. And she found out about that and was able to come here. And she's been doing a great job. You should see some of her videos on the YouTube channel, the amazing things they do with interesting and simple things, like plastic bottles, balloons, little fire, and students get to learn a lot. And more importantly, teachers get to learn a lot. So teachers who don't have the kind of access that you might have in your city get to learn a lot. And Heather wants to do more of this. And that is why we are showcasing her work today. So that if you're out there and you know a way for her to do more of it, you will make that happen for her and for us. It's your birthday gift to me. Thank you very much for giving. So Heather, we'll come back to you to tell us a bit more about your impact and maybe share that short presentation. But let me introduce Enifome. Tell me about pain, purpose, and passion.
Pain, purpose, and passion. Wow. That's a lovely trio. You see, I went through pain. I went through so much pain that I got to understand that pain can either make you or break you. Pain can either be the ticket to purpose or the reason for your downfall. You can either use pain or pain uses you. But when you use pain, you become better. When pain uses you, you become bitter. That's why we have a lot of people just, speaking out of their pain. You have people that went through pain and they just changed. And so pain is painful. And as our faces are different, so is our pain different. And interestingly, pain has no gender. Pain has no class. Pain does not select and say, oh, I'm going to look at who I'm going to come now. Pain is universal and everyone has been through pain, maybe in different degrees, right? But the migration, the transition from pain to purpose is a choice. It's a choice that is made by alignment. When you see yourself and say, okay, I've been through this thing. Am I going to let it kill me? What has this pain come to do? What can I learn from all of this? And why did it even come? Because there is nothing that can come that cannot work for your good. So from going through pain, I remember one time I was in so much pain. I couldn't articulate how I was feeling. I was in so much pain. And I screamed. And I remember that day when I screamed, something inside of me released. It was like something just made the sound. Like I knew it wasn't a physical thing, but I knew that pain touched a very deep part of me And as I screamed, it was more like jubilee, you know. And then from then, I know that I became someone else. I was able to connect to the deepest part of me, and I was able to understand, you know, that this is not just what it is, it's more than this. And I began to really move to purpose. So purpose, on the other hand, I would just say purpose is really about obedience. Because in the moment when you're going through what you're going through, you're not really thinking about someone else. You're just thinking about yourself, right? But moving from pain to purpose, a lot of people don't know that purpose is not one big, you know, purpose. You have different definitions of purpose. Purpose comes as a result of alignment, and then you begin to get nudgings in your spirit. You begin to feel led to do certain things. For me, after I went through abuse, so back, I don't know whether it's time for the backstory, but
Go ahead. Yeah.
I went through I went through domestic violence and emotional abuse that left me a shadow of myself, right? I became a walking dead. So I would go to the office. I was a C-suite executive. So I would go to the office and I had all these people that were answerable to me and answering me. And I would go to the office and I would lock my office and I would cry. And when I'm done crying, I'll clean my eyes. I'll come out like, oh, let's do this. You know, nothing they happen, as we say in Nigerian parlance. And I was in that bubble for a long time and losing myself. And I really lost myself. I became a mute. I became a zombie. I became a person who did not even know who she was anymore. Because when you go through abuse, it gets to a point where your mind is messed up. You try to put up an appearance on the front. That's what I try to do. I try to use makeup to cover my pain, right? But I was dying slowly until I just really just told myself that no, I can't continue like this. And I sought the face of the Lord, and that's where the alignment happened. And so purpose for me started when I began to get nudgings in my spirit to begin to reach out to other women who were going through the same thing. In fact, I saw a vision of a lot of women wearing suits and looking really good, but they were walking like zombies. They're walking like vampires, and their hands and their legs were swaying left and right. And I'm like, what is this? And the Lord is telling me that these are my end time army. And a lot of them are wounded. A lot of them are going through pain. A lot of them have gone through trauma. And they keep moving, but they're not optimal. They're not living, they're existing. I need you to go and rescue them. And I'm like, what? You know. And then several other things that happened, including having an encounter with God where I heard the words live again for the first time. And I'm wondering, what is live again? And he begins to say, you are living again. Life knocked you down and you got back up. Now I want you to go and help other women live again. So it just came from obedience. Okay, you know what? Start talking about what I'm teaching you, and I'm talking about it. And then the next thing, release your house to be a shelter for women that don't have a house. I'm like, release my house? I cried because that's my house, you know. I decorated it, you know. It was my oh my God. I was like, this is my house. And he says, release it. So it's been several tests, but it's been really obedience that led to the Live Again Foundation. And that one seed, Live Again, has birthed so many things. Live Again Summit, Live Again Academy, Live Again Outreach, Live Again Shelter, Live Again Book. It's just on and on. Live Again Community. So purpose, I always like to say, is from obedience. And then the passion. I feel like passion comes from your why. It comes from a strong why. It comes from, you know, I said, because of what I went through, I don't want any woman to go through what I went through. I'm only lucky to have survived. I could have died. So the passion that drives me, in fact, we were in Port Harcourt last week, Nigeria, and the electricity. I know you were talking about electricity to Heather, where you were saying that she came to Ghana where, you know, sometimes the lights issues and all of that. For me, I was speaking in Port Harcourt and the lights went off and I continued speaking. And the people there were looking at me. I could see the team members looking at me like, won't you stop? I couldn't stop. Because what is driving me is more than electricity. So that's passion right there. You see challenges along the way, but the passion keeps you going. You're like, no, if I had known what I know now, maybe I wouldn't have gone through what I went through, right? There's so many women going through the same thing, and I'm going to make sure that I do my best to help them come out of it and to help them live again. So I think that that's like really my summary of pain, purpose, and passion. And there are also some times when passion is not turned on and purpose has to be on. So purpose is the constant, among all three. You have to know that purpose, challenges will come, but purpose keeps you grounded even when the passion is not there, so to speak. Yeah.
Purpose keeps you grounded even when the passion is not there. Annie gave up her house, and she has an outfit called Live Again Shelter for women who are suffering abuse, and they need to come out of the space where they're suffering and find a different space. So, you find, I know you've not gone too deep, but you find it a bit comfortable talking about your pain. Now, what would you say, before I come back to Heather, what would you say to women who have a challenge speaking about their pain?
So we live in a world where, so we are brought up in different ways. I find that in Africa, somehow our parents and our parents' parents make us believe that you don't have to show your pain on you don't have to find a way to be strong, right? Don't tell the world about your pain because they can laugh at you, they can use it against you, and all of that. So there are those limiting beliefs and mindsets that keep people wallowing in their pain. There's also what will people say. There's also the stigma and the stigma that comes with sharing your pain. People are supposed to come and lend a shoulder to you, but they are castigating you. They're telling you, they're condemning you. They're telling you should have done it this way. And what was wrong with you? I mean, I've seen cases where women that went through abuse have died, and in their death, people are saying, insulting the person, saying, "Shebi, you are the one that stayed there. Why did you stay there?" And they're just being so harsh and mean. And then you see someone that was maybe sexually abused coming out boldly to speak, which has taken a lot. And then somebody will say, what were you doing there? Why did you wear what you wore? And why are you just talking now? And all sorts of things. So there are a number of reasons why people stay with their pain. And sometimes it's fear of the unknown, fear of how would I cope, fear of being bullied, fear, but a lot of things disguised, but all under fear. So there's a lot of things. And then sometimes it's also getting used to pain. You can get used to pain and then you become numb. You get used to it, and you tell yourself that there's nothing I can do. So hopelessness, which parades itself as there's nothing I can do, but that hopelessness is really is really an illusion, because there is no such thing as hopelessness. There are only hopeless people. People that feel like, oh, this is a hopeless situation, nobody's coming, I don't have help, which is not true. So there's a number of things that makes people stay with their pain. But also another reason which I must highlight is that people want to hug their pain. And because, there's one of my mentors, Bankole Williams, says, people will choose familiar misery over foreign happiness.
People will choose familiar misery over
foreign happiness.
Over foreign happiness. That's an interesting one.
Because if you think you have to pay the price to move from pain to purpose. Most people are not ready to do that. So they would rather hug their pain, build monuments about their pain. E.g. Jabez in the Bible, his mother had gone through something, and instead of letting it go like that, she decided to create a monument as a human being and name him Jabez, to always remember what she went through. And that man's life was miserable until he said, I want more. This is not life. Right. So there are a number of reasons people stay with their pain, but these are like top reasons I have come to see and come to find out. But the last reason I'm going to say is people have not healed. Anybody you see that does not talk about their pain, they've not healed. So the pain is still pain. Pain is a raw material. Like I said, if you know how to use pain, you'll become better. If pain uses you, you'll become bitter. So some people stay on the path of seeing this thing as what it is, pain, it's pain. It's a tool, it's a gift. So when you see it and your perspective changes, and then you remember those that can be dying because you're not talking about your pain. Oh no, you will talk about your pain. But then it's very important to heal so that you're not distributing pain. Instead, you're distributing healing. So healing is really the crux of what I'm trying to say. Healing is important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those of us in the audience, I don't know whether you want to hear more from Enifome. You need to look at her website. You need to look at her YouTube channel. She speaks with so much passion, and the reason is she has a foundation that has created a purpose for her life. And I like the fact that we are looking at these stories from two dimensions. A dimension of a certain level of comfort on Heather's part, which is not what the majority of people experience. Few people have gone to MIT, few people have a PhD. Yet that tool, that experience was used to shape her for an assignment in Ghana, and she's very comfortable taking up this assignment. On the other hand, another experience which appears to be negative on Enifome's part, right? Domestic violence, that flow of pain also is used by God, if I may say so, to point her in the direction of her purpose, and they are both fulfilling their assignments on the earth. And remember, we started with this conversation talking about time. What are we using time for? I'm going to switch back to Heather and ask Heather to blow our minds with what the Practical Education Network is doing. You have the floor, man.
Still there?
All right, we're good.
Okay,
That's it.
amazing. All right, so the NGO that I lead, Practical Education Network, or PEN, our mission is to enable every African child to learn by doing. So we want it to become the new normal, that when kids go to school, they're getting to use their hands, they're getting to engage in teams, do collaborative work. And the science classroom is really the natural place for this to happen. So what we've been doing over the last few years is we've been training teachers like Madame Beatrice, who you see in the photo here. We train teachers like her on how they can use simple everyday items, in this case, a candle, a piece of paper, and a coin, to teach whatever topic they have to teach in the national curriculum. So we've actually managed to cover all the topics in the GES curriculum with activities that teachers can teach using purely locally available materials. And
all the just a moment there. All the activities in the curriculum. How much work was this? Actually translating the curriculum to practical stuff using local methods. This is like brand new, right?
It's taken several years, yeah. And we have a team that works on it, which has grown over time. So now we have about a dozen students mostly from Manchester University who've studied engineering or computer science, and they put their creative energy to work to help us develop innovative ways of doing this. But it's been a multi-year effort.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so one story I love to share to help paint the picture of what we're really trying to do is the story of Isifu. Interestingly, I just mentioned the team of people that work on the content. Isifu was leading this team at some point. That's how I got to know him. So just in short, he grew up in Bogota, in the Upper East region of Ghana, in a pretty humble home. His mom, was selling in the market. His dad was a mechanic. And like most of his friends, he went to school when he was young, excited to be in school and all that. But a few years in, started realizing that school is pretty boring. And in fact, some of the subjects are so boring that it's hard to even understand what's going on and even pass the class. And so for him, mathematics was one of the subjects that he ended up really hating because it was that abstract and that disconnected from his everyday life. And he actually failed mathematics. When he got to junior high school, he had a new teacher for mathematics. And that teacher managed to teach in a very different way than what he had experienced up until that point. That teacher was getting them to cut shapes from paper, build little models from boxes, do all kinds of things in a more practical way. And suddenly, Isifu liked mathematics. He went from failing mathematics to actually being the top of his class in mathematics. And he points it to this one teacher who simply taught in a different way. Fast forward to when I met him, he was studying computer engineering at Ashesi University. And he was one of the top students we had at the university at the time. And as I speak to you now, he's a data scientist in a global company, which has been, life-changing for him and his family. And so Isifu's story is one that we believe can be the story of millions of students across the continent. It just takes one teacher to teach the subjects that typically cause a lot of fear or pain or frustration or feel so abstract. If even just one teacher can start to teach math, can start to teach science in a way that actually is compelling and students enjoy it, it could have these kinds of life trajectory shifts like we see in Isifu's life. And so that's what we're working towards at Penn. And so how we do this is we focus on the teachers. We help them use locally available materials. We take them through training on how they can use it. And we provide them resource manuals, which I alluded to. These cover all of the topics in the national curriculum based on the level and subject that the teacher teaches. And so over the last 9 years now, we've been running this training with thousands of teachers. Here you see some teachers from Ghana, from Rwanda. We've also trained teachers in Liberia. In total, we've trained more than 9,000 teachers on how they can use these everyday materials to teach the curriculum in a more practical way. So in a nutshell, this is what we've been doing. And finally, if I'm able to, make an invitation to anybody who's interested at this point. Okay.
Just before you go ahead, Heather, Idahusa said, if you don't blow your own trumpet, who will? So please blow the trumpet.
That's a good one. Necessary then. Right. So for any of you that are joining in and are interested in furthering this mission, we would love to invite you to make a donation. What we're doing right now is we're raising funds to print these manuals that I've mentioned. We've actually printed thousands of copies of these manuals at the primary school level. And recently we've gotten Ministry of Education approval to print the junior high school level of our manuals. And so we would invite any of you who are interested to donate at least 150 CDs, which is enough to print a JHS manual and get it into the hands of a teacher in Ghana. So welcome to join us to enable more kids like Isifu and many others out there to get to finally enjoy science and math and perhaps even see pretty significant life shifts as they start to pursue STEM and technology careers. Thank you.
Wow. All the way from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Yes, I got it. Now, if you try to pronounce that and you miss it, try it again. MIT.
Yes, MIT. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Enifome, I think you're using
the
separate sound.
That's why it's feeding back. That's why it's feeding back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but
my
voice is feeding back. So maybe your phone is on speaker. Yeah. Okay, so so that was amazing, and I'm going to show you a screen slide before I call on Enifome to tell us about what she does with women more. The first thing I'm going to say is that this is where the money goes today. And like I said to Enifome and Heather, nobody will blow your trumpet more than you. So today I'm helping these amazing people blow the trumpet, the saxophone, the drums, because in this world that we are in, as much as their instructions came from God, the money will come from this world that we are in, right? Because it takes money to do the binders, the books you're seeing. This cost a lot of money. At that time, I shouldn't have spent that much money. The books that Nuruddin sent me this one yesterday, and it goes to children. The books that Heather does cost money, the logistics, the staff payments. So I know that you're trying to do a lot with your life. I know that you're trying to go to MIT. I know that you're trying to wear the next clothes. I know that you're trying to buy a car, the next Tesla, but spare something to support these amazing people. So you will see either the MoMA number or the bank account number. Today, we're focusing on Heather and Enifome. And Enifome will shortly tell us what she's doing as well. And Heather has said specifically that she's, printing out manuals. And you can imagine the amount of work it takes to translate the Ghana Education Service curriculum into practicals that are relatable. And I like the story of Isifu, who got interested in math because he got the right kind of teacher. You can make a difference. So do something today. I've sent a link on the chat. In that link, you will see a form where you can tell us whether you donated something, and we'll confirm it. And if you are in one of the approved regions, we can send you a free book. You just have to pay for delivery. And when I say free book, one of my books, I have 5 of them. So I will send you a free hard copy book, not digital. Hard copy, physical. You can touch it, you can smell it, you can bang it on your head like this, Yes, you can actually, it's real, right? So we'll send you that. Send books like this. You choose the one you want. So check out the form. But the important thing is that we need to support these people, and we need to support them. If you can't do so today, share this with somebody who needs to watch this. If you can't do so today, Google is your friend. Heather Beem, PhD, and Enifome Beem, PhD. Follow them on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook. The important thing is that we must keep this work going, right? Keep the work going. So do something. Reach out of yourself and do something. Look at the form. Look at the bank accounts, the MoMA accounts, and do something to this. So let me switch back to Enifome. Tell us the impact on the lives of women. I know that from your website, 2,000 women at least have been touched by you based on your count. I know there's always the ripple effect. There's always the ripple effect. But tell us more about that a bit.
Oh, okay. So we have a number of initiatives and projects that we run. I'm just going to mention some of the top ones that we do. And so we have the Live Again shelter. Now, I mentioned that I released my house as a shelter, right? Because I started getting messages from women who were going through abuse, who wanted a way out but didn't know how to live. They didn't know what to do. And then some who we would now show the way, would link them up with lawyers, the right people, the domestic violence unit in Lagos State, and really just try to help them. We now realize that many of them did not have anywhere to go. Now, there's also the part of the woman has left, but I always say that you left Egypt doesn't mean that Egypt has left you. So many of the women who go through abuse, because of the effects of the abuse, even when they leave, they carry those effects with them everywhere. And so they're sabotaging themselves, they're sabotaging their businesses, they're sabotaging their children, they're sabotaging their family and the society at large. So it's more like a rise and fall thing, or some feeling of lack of motivation for over a period of time where they're absent from themselves and they're still just trying to show up, right? But then the effects of the trauma is still there. So that's when I began to really work on holistic well-being for these women. And by holistic, I mean spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and financial. So now if a woman is living again and she doesn't have money to feed, How is she going to survive? Now let's assume that she has children. How is she going to survive? So we started the Live Again shelter, which is what it is, live again. A lot of people have accommodation for women that are going through distress, pain, and abuse, but many of those accommodations are not accommodations that help them live again. So what we do is that from the moment you come into the shelter, you begin to receive life. It's such a peaceful atmosphere. Everything there is intentional. We work on the mindsets, the minds of the women, and then we take them through sessions where we help them heal from trauma so that they don't go back into what they are coming from, right? They don't rebound. They don't say, oh, I'm tired, I want to go back, or now even attract another abuser after the first abuser has gone out of the way, because these things are patterns. I got to find out through my own life that generational trauma comes up when a woman goes through pain and doesn't heal properly. That pain is unconsciously transferred to the next generation or to her seed. It's not like the woman is telling the child, I want to transfer this pain. Fake. No, it's very unconscious. So through her beliefs, her mindset, the way she shouts at the child, sometimes even without even shouting, the body language, the way she treats the child is more like passing that seed of rejection to the child. And that's when you have these cycles of abuse, right? So the shelter is in such a way that we have a 3-month stay period where the woman comes in. So it's a process. She comes in now, depending on the situation, we can implore the police, we can get our legal partners involved, we take them for medical screening and all of that, and then we start to really get them to check their relationship with God, because I'm a Christian, right? I believe in God. Everything I do is founded on the scriptures. And I always tell these women that you cannot live again without God. There's no way, because actually he's the resurrection and the life. He's the one that can bring dead things back to life. So we try to help them, because many of them feel like God is the reason why they are going through what they went through. So you have people that are mad at God or feel like God is mad at them. And then if that foundation is not there, whatever it is we're trying to help them build is not going to last. It's not going to be sustainable. So we try to repair that, and then we move to emotional healing. I remember one particular lady, she's still in our shelter right now. So right now we have 3 women and 4 children right now in our shelter. Now these women will eat. The shelter needs to be maintained. The rent needs to be paid. We don't have our own property yet. We're trusting God for that. But if you know what rent is saying in Lagos State, and we've been doing that for 5 years. And then so there is the maintenance. There is, 2 days ago, one of them reached out to say that the head of the cylinder of the gas is bad, and I should send money for them to fix it. That's just one of the things, But when we're having our session, me and this particular shelter resident, I got to discover that when she was 2 years old, her father was going through some sort of sickness. So he took her to his family member to raise. And from the time she was 2 years old, she had begun to go through pain. She faced so much neglect, so much physical abuse that she said she would pray and ask God to come and kill her. And so when I was trying to find the root cause of why she attracted an abuser, because I always say that you don't just meet an abuser. It's not everybody that just marries an abuser. There's something, you don't just marry an abuser, you attract them. And a lot of times it's from childhood trauma. So for me, it's very important to excavate and dig to find the root cause. And it was in the course of this session. So as a coach, I offer these services to these women for free. That's my own way of giving back through the foundation. And so while we were having our session, that's when I realized that that was the seed that was sown that made her to attract. So she actually came to our shelter with a black eye, a 1-month-old baby, and her 4-year-old son. And one of the reasons why she was able to end up with such a person in the first place was because she had unresolved trauma. And so we were able to deal with that. And then by the time we got her to the process of healing, we now began to think of, okay, what kind of skill can she do, right? What can she do? And then most of these women that come to our shelter, a lot of them have SSCE. And SSCE is high school, secondary school, like they just go through college and they don't continue, right? Just in a number of cases that we've had people that are graduates that have their bachelors or their masters, right? But a lot of times is women that don't even have, they couldn't complete their education. So we go through three umbrellas of helping them find their feet again financially. Economic empowerment is either through talent discovery, through skill development, or through maybe a job or a business placement. So depending on their qualification and what they can learn. So for her, what we did for her was she said, oh, what's your dream? So in my sessions, it gets to a point where I ask, what's your dream? Who have you always wanted to be? Because if we're going to help you live again, we have to go back to who you wanted to be or who you were before life happened. How can we restore you back to that person? And she said, oh, I want to be a big time caterer. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a caterer, and for me, it's just really giving them hope. And then I am the message. When you see my life and you see what I did with my pain, you see how I was able to live again despite what happened to me, and I'm thriving. That's really the billboard that you need. So they look at me and they have hope. And so for her, what we did was we partnered with a caterer to come teach her catering right there in the shelter. And then during our skilled acquisition programs, she also got to learn one or two things about catering. And then we bought her a phone, so that she could, because she wasn't even on the internet at all. She was using a phone that is just for communication. And, if you see her today, oh my goodness, she's glowing. Like life has come into her. I remember when she came, she was so timid, she couldn't even talk. She was always sad. But, she's living again in every sense of it. So we have the shelter. That's just one part of it. We have the outreaches, right? The outreaches are a wide range of GBV advocacy. And by GBV, I mean gender-based violence advocacy. Because some people don't even know that they're being abused. They don't even know. They call it all sorts of names. Oh, it's love. Oh, yeah, some people say, oh, I'm stubborn, so the man has to beat me into shape. All sorts of things. You have people that will tell you that their mothers were beaten, so it's just part of life. Yeah, if he beats me, so what?
Wow.
And then there are some that, okay, this is abuse, but I beg, I can't kill myself. Let me just stay here. We even had cases of people coming to the shelter, and all of a sudden they're like, I'm not coming again. Let me go and stay. At least I'm seeing food to eat. And it tells you the mindset. You're seeing food to eat, but you're dying, but you're there. So, and we've had cases where even when you finish helping these women, they'll still say they want to go back. I don't want to go into that, but
Yeah,
it's painful.
correct.
But that's just one of those things.
Correct.
Yeah, so we have the outreaches, which is what we use to sensitize more people, GBV advocacy, moving from trauma to trauma recovery, and then helping them with business grants, free business registrations, just to be able to empower them and then help them get off track. So that's just a bit of it. Just the shelter and the outreaches is a bit of it. Then we do skill acquisition, skill development workshops where we train these women. And you were showing one of the pictures. I don't know if you can still highlight one of those pictures or some of those pictures. So we had scented candles and diffuser training. We had Ankara scrap to style training. We had events management training, public speaking training, digital skills training. We had home and beauty essentials where they're making things like antiseptic, liquid wash. So this was the Ankara scrap to style training. No, stay on that picture a bit. This was the Ankara scrap to style training. So a lot of women that go through abuse say, oh, I don't have capital to start a business. So we try to look for the lowest hanging fruit, which is either their talent or something that they can do without using capital. Like the lady in our shelter, catering doesn't require capital. You can take the money from the person that is ordering for food and make their food. Right. So for this Ankara scrap to style, it's all those tailors that have these scraps where they finish sewing and they have these materials that they want to dispose like waste. We taught them how to use this to create beautiful pieces that they can sell and things that they can begin to monetize. This was the scented candle and diffuser training that you just passed. And this is the other picture is a woman from our Oyo State outreach. We gave her a book. So that is one of the books that we give out for free, but we have to incur the cost of printing and publishing. It's called the 12-Step Guide to Live Again book. It's a self-help resource book that helps women live again, and then they can go through it and begin to take those steps and begin to live again. So that's just a part of some of the things that we do to help these women live again. Next year, we're going to the north for Live Again for Girls. because we realized that the abuse part is the symptom part. But there is the part where you can nip it in the bud from the beginning. And the reason why that happened, if you can permit me to just share in a minute, is that we had a shelter resident who came to our shelter, and the man beat her so much she ran to Lagos. She ran to the under the bridge. In Lagos State, there are places called under bridge where people just stay sometimes because they don't have accommodation, right? So she ran under the bridge. She has 4 children. Guess what? This man goes under the bridge and beats her a second time. And this is not the first time. He beats her a lot. Like anything she does, he beats her. So Lagos State brought her to our shelter because we're affiliated with Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, as well as the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. So they refer cases to us sometimes, right? So they brought her, and this woman was, oh my goodness, she was crying uncontrollably. She had these hypertensive drugs that she brought. She was black. She was unkempt. Comb had not passed through her hair in years. And then she was just unkempt. And these children came with their school uniforms, with their worn out shoes. And, I just had to just put her mind at peace that you're safe now. Okay, you're safe. So we began the work. But guess what? This is where I'm driving at. This woman is from somewhere called Chibok. Now, if you've heard anything about some Chibok girls that were kidnapped at some point in Nigeria, she's from that particular community, right? And she got married to someone I like to describe as a beast. Now, the reason I describe that man as a beast is he did not just beat her. There was a time he was strangling his son, and his son began to cough out blood. That's the kind of man I'm talking about. Everywhere he beats her, and he beats her children. So the children are exposed to that danger. Now, I got to find out that the girls in Chibok, because I was in a conference and somebody was sharing that she was from that particular state, that they know how to differentiate between the gunshots of insurgents and military people, that they have heard gunshots to the point where they can literally sleep and be hearing gunshots. And something clicked inside of me. This particular lady that came to our shelter was from Chibok. So that means there are many girls in the north that are traumatized, and many of them will be sold off to men, or they will attract the wrong men. I don't have time. I would have shared with you another lady that we're helping in Kebbi State who was sold to a man. She literally was sold, a young girl that was just sold to a man, and the man began to beat her and deprive her of food while she was pregnant. But we rescued her, and today she has a business she's doing. That's the picture I sent you of the lady that had the cake in front of her, right? We set her up, and now she's now baking cake. She's making pastries, and she's selling those things and taking care of her child. So we're going to the north next year for the Live Again for girls, and subsequently we're going to have the Live Again for men. But that story for another day. But in a nutshell, that
All
is
right,
all
right.
to help over 2,000 women live again.
Any can stay just here
forever.
She can stay just here forever. So we have to close in about 5 minutes. But I'm going to show you 2 videos before we go away. Audience. Yeah, Annie, I'm going to meet you just. Yeah, I'm going to show you 2 videos. Okay, yeah. So that's admin and user muting. That's what's good. All right. So I'm going to show you 2 videos, one from Annie and one from Heather. But before I do that, I want you to listen very carefully. And I started this conversation by talking about time and what we're committing our lives to. Now, you may have heard the story of the man who had dozens of cars, and he was one of the richest man. He was about the richest man in Ghana and in Nigeria back in the 80s. He has exotic cars, exotic cars but they were all getting old because the man is dead, long dead. Nobody's using the car. Nobody's living in the house. In fact, if the house was in Lagos, we could have used it for a live again shelter, big house, right? And it's all gone. And some of you are here, you're watching me from LinkedIn. That means you probably have a job or a business. You're watching me on a phone. You're watching me. You have money for data. You probably made your hair. You have a cap like mine. But there are some people that they have like zero nothing. And like Annie said in her presentation, somebody's asking, I need to replace the gas head, so to speak, right? I need to replace it. And they have to depend on someone for that. Somebody says, it's better for me to have something to eat and accept the beating than to be suffering outside. Because that's where lack of economic power. That's where lack of economic power takes people to. And I'm asking you that if there's something you can do to advance this kind of work, I'm asking you to do it today. If you know someone who can do it, share this video with them. This is about making this kind of work go forward as much as you can do. Let me play these 2 videos.
Good morning, beautiful souls. Good morning, beautiful souls. And excited to honor and excited again outreach here in the heart of a huge.
So trauma is not what happens. So trauma is not what happens to you. Inside you as a result. Inside you as a result of something that. But what I'm trying to get you to do today is awaken to recognize what is happening inside your body as well. Inside your body as well.
To think again. I chose to turn my pain to others. To others. I chose to trust the livers. Look at the person next to you and say, are you ready? To deliver.
Violence against women, unfortunately, is on the rise. But the good news is that violence can be prevented. So let's speak to people. When you see something, when you say something, say something.
The first time, if there is one hand, that's one hand. Forget it. It has been declared. At no point in time, you endure violence.
Remember that we have lots of vouchers from Secure, vouchers from place where you can get a free hug, you can get free hug, this legal aid.
This is a group therapy session. Just
imagine you could see a little child you once were. Tell them I'm the one that wrote you the letter. I know better than anybody what you've been through, and I love you just the way you are.
If somebody has gold, and they throw the gold away, or the person will not know, or the person will not know. Has it stopped the gold from being gold? Has it stopped the gold from being gold? You are gold. You are worthy. You are everything and more. You are everything and more. Father, because I have been cut off from the dysfunctional family, and I am engrafted in Christ. And I am engrafted in Christ. The results of my life are the results of the life of Jesus Christ.
For me, that you're seeing like this, I am a different person. I am living again. I am finding my voice. Not my silence. Because my voice matters.
You are right again. You have the right. You are courageous. You are courageous. You are not self-defeating. You are not but you have to rise.
I pray that you find healing. I pray that you find hope. I pray that you find clarity. I pray that you find strength. I pray that you find strength. That you find joy. I pray that you welcome to the beginning of a new chapter. Welcome to the Lead Again Outreach. Welcome to the Lead Again Outreach. And God bless you. And God bless you.
All right, so what is gravity? Who understands what gravity is? Pressure. So most probably we stand up and...
Our desire is we want all teachers to be able to do practicals in their classrooms. So the resources that we provide to teachers are all based around simple materials that are locally available in Ghana. Water bottles, balloons, rubber bags, straws, all of these things. We just help teachers use them in a creative way to show the syllabus topics.
Oh, they are not expensive. They are our locally made materials. They are locally made materials. Things that you can just find within the environment. It's not a matter of you going to buy anything so big. You can easily get them around the environment.
This one and then we just we're supposed to do it one after the other. Okay. We are trying to move a piece of wire using electromagnetism. And we're using a magnet together with a battery. We're trying to teach the kids more about recycling and reusing stuff so we could save and reduce litter. After it's done, the kids can also go home and replicate the same things, and the learning process continues.
So we work with the Ghana Education Service and organize district-wide workshops for science teachers. So we work with their district science coordinator, book our venue, call the teachers, and gather as many teachers from the district together that we can, and spend the day with them going over basically as many different hands-on activities as we can fit in the day before they get exhausted. So we just share ideas for ways they can teach the syllabus, the national syllabus, same topics, but with hands-on activities.
It's reduced my talking and it's reduced the work I would normally have done. The kids get so excited and they do basically everything for you.
PEN is a social enterprise. We were some MIT students trying to think of ways that we could share the same style of hands-on learning that we were getting to experience at MIT with students in the places where it seems to be the hardest in terms of material resources. How do you teach experientially if you don't have stuff to work with?
It's going to help them because some of them are going to take it as vocations. Some of them are also, it's going to help them to further their education.
We're trying to scale this style of hands-on experiential learning, and we're doing that by working with teachers. So we see the teacher as the agent of change for making this change happen. So we work with teachers, each of whom easily teaches 100 students per year. And we've now even started training trainers to teach teachers to teach students so that we can reach the scale even faster.
Woo, the outcome benefit is very great. These children are able to recollect whatever they have learned easily. These children are able to manipulate objects themselves. These children they can learn themselves on their own without you, the teacher, necessarily telling them the stuff. And it's opening up their scope of mind.
All right. So I picked up my glasses because I noticed that in that video, Heather was not wearing glasses. So, you know, that tells you how long ago it was. So a lot of us have changed, you know. I also have glasses, you know. I'm trying to resist it, but, you know, I just have to wear it sometimes. All right. I'd like to, first of all, we're going to close out. I promised 5 minutes, but I just want to recognize those who were on the call with us almost throughout. I want to appreciate Nuruddin. We're going to be talking to him tomorrow. He says, Enifome, it takes a whole level of strength to do the work you are doing. God continue to keep you. So that's feedback from the audience. Thank you so much. And Doreen says, thank you so much, Heather and Enifome, for restoring hope and spreading love. I'm inspired by your journeys and your use of time to create impact and live your true purpose. Be blessed. Thank you, session for Kenneth, for this amazing session. So I was mispronouncing my name. Okay, then yes, Jocelyn Igiri says, that's strong work, Enifome. Keep it up. Keep it up. Yeah. And Nuruddin says, live again. Right. So once again, yes, Jocelyn says, great work too, Heather. I'm excited for both the teachers and the children. The future is great for them. All right. So many comments out there. And I want to appreciate you, Heather, and you. By the way, Jocelyn Gary happens to be my wife, in case you have not noticed the surname. Yeah, just letting you know. So thank you so much, Heather. Thank you, Enifome, for being here today. I will flash this one more time. The donations, very, very important. That's why we're here. And I was saying that we're giving away books. Once you can put it on record that you gave something, we will send you a book. And let this video go far and wide. The least we can do is let this work spread out. And we shall do this again tomorrow. We have a whole 5 days to do this, so don't be worried. Don't be worried. This is not the end. We have a whole 5 days. I just wanted to show the agenda. So tomorrow I'm going to start the conversation about rebirth, and then we're going to talk to Nuruddin. On Friday we're going to talk about marriage. I know many people are going to be excited about that one. I typically don't talk about marriage, but people are going to be excited. So on that day I'll also be talking to Prosper and Yetunde. And then on Saturday morning is an incredible one. In fact, I myself, I am afraid of what I'm going to say on Saturday morning, right? I'm scared about what I'm going to say on Saturday morning, because it's going to be like iconoclastic. If you don't know the meaning of iconoclastic, please Google it. And then on Sunday evening, I'm going to talk about the occult and demonic powers. And if you don't like those topics, just stay away. I want you to come. All right. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you, Enifome. We shall make this happen. This is on our YouTube channel. We shall keep broadcasting it, and we could do it again. We could go deeper again and again. We want to make sure that your work does not go unnoticed. You are doing awesome work, and we deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate you. And I want to say thank you. I'm just going to end the live stream, and I'm going to ask you to wait for 2 minutes. Let's just wrap up while I say bye-bye to the external audience. All right. See you tomorrow. I forgot to put my outro music.